This comparison isn't really about so much what these guys can do individually and what these devices are. It's more a comparison of the screen quality between the Kindle's black and white screen and the Pocketbook's color screen. Let's check it out. These two devices represent the absolute latest releases from each respective brand. This is the Kindle Paperwhite 4, and this is the Pocketbook Color. These are both brand new devices. This is a little older, of course, but it is the latest offering, not counting the Oasis 3. You can see the home screens display things very differently. You have home, back, settings, Goodreads, store at the top, recommended for you down below, and whatever you put in your device first or read most recent will show up here. You also have some reading lists. Recently they have added a scroller bar so you can scroll down and get some more suggested reads. On the Pocketbook you have everything that you've loaded in here. You have your bestsellers down here, and you have library, audiobook, store, notes, and apps. If you want to see each individual review on both of these devices, head over to our YouTube channel where you can see deep dives into each one. Now these are both running Linux, neither of these are running Android, so you might be confused about apps. Apps doesn't necessarily mean Android. Apps are applications, so you can have media player, gallery, note-taking, Klondike chess, etc. on a Linux-based device. It's totally a realistic thing. Again, if you want to see the coloring and the scribble and what this can do in terms of it being a note-taking device as well, check out that individual video we have on our YouTube channel as well. Right out of the gates, you'll notice something that we had planted prior is highlights. And what you'll see here is you can do highlights on both of these devices, but when you do a highlight on the Amazon, it's only going to be gray, whereas when you highlight on the Pocketbook, it's whatever color you wish it to be. So you have 4 different colors on your palette here: green, yellow, pink, and blue. So you can actually highlight and the colors show up, and they're actually very nice. You're going to hear me say that a lot because this is running color, so I'm going to say color, color, color. This is black and white. Amazon currently has no color devices in their repertoire, but they do have some good reading experiences on their devices, including the Paperwhite 4, this one right here. It's very quick, and it is quicker than the Pocketbook. You can see the Pocketbook does flash a lot, and it does take some time to react to what you're doing. And although we do have the ability to take notes on the EPUB file itself, which no other device really does, you'll see right here that we have some notes on here that we've scribbled on and highlighted and stuff. That's really in-depth, that you can do a lot of these functions on a regular e-reader, not a note-taking device with a Wacom layer. On the Kindle, you only get highlight, note, and you get Wikipedia translation. That's about it. Now, the translation feature is nice because you actually can go here and click translation, and you can translate from any language to any language you see on the drop down here, even traditional Chinese. So in a second, you can actually translate the entire book, regardless of what language it is, into any language on the drop down. And that's really cool because that really breaks down the barriers of, well, language barriers, and that is very nice. To change things, you can tap in the center on the Pocketbook and tap on the top third on the Kindle. You do get some ways to change your text. You do have to do a couple strokes here to get in. So you do have themes, you have font, layout, and more. More will have some things like reading progress, book mentions, etc. So there's a decent amount of ways to change your reading experience on the Kindle, as well as the Pocketbook does have your margins, your line spacing, and a bunch of different fonts. Regular, italicized, and bold as well. This is precisely the point in which the two devices part ways. Because this is running full color, it really just completely cannibalizes the Kindle in terms of practicality. If you're reading a medical textbook and even anything that requires color, well, you are most obviously going to get more use out of being able to see the color than just guessing. Well, I would never have known his hat was blue or his sleeve was blue and the C around the little bear was red, until we see it on a color device. Now the Kindle is quicker at handling PDFs. You can see it's a lot more snappy. And the pinch and zoom is very snappy as well. You can see it's really quick, whereas the Pocketbook kind of lags behind. You also get a mini map on the Kindle that shows up immediately, but the Pocketbook takes a full 4 seconds to kind of show up. Now, these are both 6-inch devices. I mean, they're pretty much the same size as a smartphone nowadays. You're not really going to be lining up to buy these devices to say, oh, I can't wait to read my PDFs on here, because that's just not a reality of these devices. You're not going to read PDFs on these. If you had to, this is what it looks like. Your experience is going to be different depending on which device you choose. You do have some ways to change some things, and the Pocketbook is in a huge advantage because you do have those note-taking capabilities, you do have those highlight-taking capabilities, you get a lot more value and functionality out of this device. The Amazon, you get less functionality, less ways to change your experience. You only get pinch and zoom, margins, orientation, and a contrast wheel. But the Pocketbook just has so much more that it can do that the Amazon just can't. You even have 4 different ways to change the contrast, whereas the Amazon only has 1. You see, the background is stone, and on the Kindle it is more white. Yes, I'll give it that. But the cover art and the book fronts are just so nice, and they're popping out at you. It really does make you want to choose something more than just looking at it on a black and white device. And again, we're not saying the Amazon holds no merit. That's not the case here. It's just that having this color really puts it in a league of its own. Color devices are slowly coming out. There's currently 4 color eInk devices on the market, and they are really showing their true colors, so to speak. They're really showing that color is a viable thing, and it doesn't need to cost $800. It doesn't need to cost $1,000. This is a $200 device. Clicking on your book, this is your purchase decision. You will see it says EPUB. This runs a variety of formats. This only runs Mobi. Please keep that in mind. You do have the ability to download sample on both of these, purchase them in their respective currencies, be it C and Canadian, USD, Euros, etc. And you have all your information here, synopsis and whatnot. The Pocketbook's glow light and the Amazon's glow light, they're both beautifully distributed. There's no overexposed areas, gray zones, spillage through the shell or the bezel or anything. So in that regard, they're great. The Amazon is showing more reds in its color degrees of Kelvin, and the Pocketbook is showing more blues. It's just the type of LEDs they're using, and we can tone that down and turn that one down and go down here and turn the Pocketbook up or down respectively. You have to find a happy medium between it being too bright and not bright enough. You can see the Amazon is fairly low light bias, and the Pocketbook, even though we're only at halfway, is pretty bright. So you have to make sure you know what you're setting it at. The glow lights are good in their own regard. It's just they have their own different approaches to how they show themselves. The Amazon Paperwhite is tried and true. It's the best e-reader ever made, pound for pound, if you compare it against everything else. It's not subjective, it's just the best-selling device. It's on their 10th or 11th generation now, 4 generations of the Kindle Paperwhite alone. Flush screen and bezel, beautiful build quality, everything looks perfect, everything works. The Pocketbook has its little bit of shortcomings. It's packed with features. It has audiobooks, it has notes, it has coloring. There's a lot of stuff on here. You can even read color manga and graphic novels, of course, because it's running full color. The color really changes the game. It also has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and an included dongle with an SD card on it as well. We hope you enjoyed this comparison for Face Off Friday. If you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, let us know. And again, head over to youtube.com/goodyreader to see individual review videos and coverage videos of both of these devices for a comparison between the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite 4 and the Pocketbook Color. This is Peter.